We are live. Hello, Mr. Christopher.
Hello, Megan. We're alive and alive. We're alive
Alive
and alive.
and alive. So good. And you've got the sun shining brilliantly on you.
That's right. This is the bright Australian sun in our winter.
Rose colored glasses from bed, setting the stage. It's
Mm,
great.
mm, mm, mm.
Well, I was asking Chris to come on this because he has a number one. If you don't know who Chris Hughes is, oh my God, go check him out. There he
It's
is. He's amazing, but you got so many cool things going on. So hopefully, if you guys are new and you've never met him or seen him, um, I hope this is a wonderful introduction. So I wanted to start there. But we were chatting as we do, and I was very businessy. I was like trying to handle stuff. And you were, I love it. You were like, "Are you having enough sex lately?" I was like, I have actually never been asked that question.
well, people get busy and then they make priorities and certain things get eliminated because that's not constructive and productive. And I'm like, actually,
So true. And so I called this are you having enough? Because one of the coolest things about the question, which I haven't even talked with you about, is, at first I was like, no, not at all. But it not there's sex and then there's also this like receiving that you were kind of poking on, and it started just opening my whole world up of like I've been like not receiving what I could. I'm not being what I like, this the fun and the joy and the aliveness and the yumminess of all of that. So thank you for asking me a question that no one ever asks.
you're welcome.
And so if you're wondering why I'm even talking about that, because I'm from the Midwest. We are not supposed to be talking about sex for sure. And no one's ever supposed to just come right out and ask you if you're having enough. but, but Chris will.
I
Um,
certainly will. I was getting together with some friends for lunch once, and I sat down at the table with them and I just started like talking, right? As you do. And I was like, oh my God, I just had the best sex of my life. This guy came all over my chest and all over my face. And we had sex until 2 in the morning. And then we woke up at 6 and started again. And it was incredible. I had the best time ever. And then I stopped and looked around the table at my friends that I was joining, and they were all like, and
uh,
one of them eventually broke the silence and said, "There's a very nice Niçoise salad here." I was like, "So we're supposed to talk about food and salads, and we're not allowed to talk about sex?"
yeah, basically. And so you have started, I don't even know if it's like been, if the whole world knows, but the whole world needs to know from my point of view. You've
I
started
want the world to know.
you started a new adventure, and it's called In the Beginning, and it's essentially classes where the topics of sex are coming up, but it's so much more than that. It's so much deeper. And I just wondered if you would like how did you get started with that, like where you're like, this is actually something that I would like to invite to the world.
Well, it actually started a really long time ago, and
Right.
I went to one of my very, 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 very first Access Consciousness classes. Well, like basically, my journey with Access Consciousness was I attended a foundation class, and so I went, "Who's this Gary Douglas dude?" So and I this was like Access didn't have a website then, right?
Yeah.
So I went, okay, Gary Douglas is going to be in Brisbane, Australia. I'll go. I didn't know where Brisbane, Australia was, but I went. I live there now. This is Brisbane, Australia. Um, I went to this class, changed my whole life, and the following week he was doing another class called The Truth About Sex, and I went, okay, cool. I'll do it. I'll stick around and do this next class. And that class changed my life in the recognition of me, of how different I am, because I was like, oh, you know what? This is an area of life where I really don't have any judgment.
Yeah.
I'm pretty relaxed and pretty open and see sex for a possibility it can be rather than just a form of procreation or recreation. And so so that's where the seed like got planted. And then it took a really long time to germinate. And I became a facilitator of Access Consciousness. And I went, okay, at Gary's encouragement, Gary Daggett, of Access, I started doing sex classes. And then I went, whoa, no, thank you. Because I saw sex as this like magnificent playground where we got to relax and receive and enjoy our bodies and do this thing that our body does that um, is innately about expressing joy and pleasure, like singing and dancing and fucking are things that we can just do that that are designed to be an expression of joy. How cool is that, right? But then I would go to do these classes and people were like, no, sex is abuse. No, sex is about validation. No, sex is wrong. No, sex is something you should be ashamed of. And I would just be like, huh? That's not what I thought. So it took me a while to get back to it. And then Gary went, come on, you got to do this. And I went, okay, cool. So I started again with much better tools in my arsenal to deal with sex as a much broader topic than most people realize. Because if we got together to talk about sex and we were talking about like positions and angles and like the geometry of sex, that would be a bit boring. But when you get to the nitty gritty and the energetics of why people are choosing what they're choosing or how they have constructed this like reality they have with sex, you get to really find out about the foundation of your reality.
Yeah. That's I love there's I've attended your class. I've also been on like a telecall you did with Gary a couple of years ago. I can't even talk. Years ago on when lust turns to love, where does the sex go? And that was just like those are the energies that are so cool to actually explore because it's where you can have so much more. You can have so much more with your body and so much more aliveness. And then if you look at, this reality out there that we're all in, there's nothing that exciting about like you said, it's positions and, stuff that's not exactly that exciting to me. I mean, yes, positions are fun, but like getting into the actual energy of it all is so wonderful. And I think you're the I don't know too many people, and I think you might be like you and Gary probably that actually have no judgment of any of it, which creates this really different space for you to actually be vulnerable with, what you like. There's so much proof. Like, I don't know, as a woman, I used to sit in these like people having talking, chatting, and there was so much like rightness and like how people they know how to do it, and I like for so long was like I must be just having it all wrong because I don't have any confidence in like this is how you have an orgasm and this is how you do this, and it was just like this crazy world. But when I took one of your classes and some of the telecalls that you've done, it's just really opened me up to actually know what I know and what my body knows. And it's a very different space. So I'm so glad that you're doing it because there's nothing else at all like it in the world.
Thank you so much. That really is what I'm aiming for with this. And you're right, Gary's such an alien in his lack of judgment. People love the judgment, by the way. They love it. Like I was chatting with this guy on an app the other day, and he was like, "Okay, I really want you to come over, and I'm straight, but I really want to wear women's underwear, and I want you to pee on me while I'm on the phone with my brother who abused me as a child."
Oh my God.
And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And he went, "You think I'm a freak?" And I'm like, look, mate, if that's what you're into, cool. Doesn't really do anything for me, I'll be honest. But if this is something you really want, oh, sure, why not? I'll give it a whirl. And he ghosted me immediately because he was like, he wanted me to judge him.
Yeah.
That's the turn on he was looking for.
Right.
And this is what I'm here. This is my target with these is to change. That's one of the things I would love to change and do exactly what you're talking about. Give people permission to find out what they know and what's true for them, because sex is this weird thing where, like, if you're super slutty, you're wrong unless you're a gay man.
Right.
If you're super inexperienced, you're wrong,
Yep.
especially if you're a man. There's this like sweet spot in the middle that no one actually knows what it is, of what's the appropriate amount of slutty and chaste that we're supposed to be, but no one's sure. And generally speaking, for the sex to be considered worth it and good, it has to be within a relationship, and there has to be love involved. You
Wow.
can't just have sex for the fun of it. I had one woman come to me and she said, "I'm terrified of your class." And I went, "Good. Why?" She said, "Well, I'm in my 50s. I've never had sex." I went, "Cool. Do you want to?" And she said, "No." And everyone I've talked to, every facilitator I've talked to, they've tried to fix me so that I go and have sex. And I went, you can have no sex, you can have plenty of sex and everything in between. And what I would like is for it always to be a question. And she went, "Really? I'm not wrong?" I went, "No." I know lots of people that are voluntarily celibate. And my point of view is, if that's working for you, if that's what you require and desire, and that's what works for you in your body, awesome. I know a lot of people who are extraordinarily promiscuous. And again, it's not right and it's not wrong. The average body count for heterosexual women in their lifetime, how many, and a body count for those listening who don't know, a body count is how many people in your lifetime you've had sex with. The average for heterosexual women in their lifetime is 4 people. The average for heterosexual men is 6 people. I'm not going to give you my numbers. I
Oh
definitely am.
my
I
God.
sway the bell curve for sure. But my point of view is, who cares?
Yeah.
What if you weren't wrong and you weren't right, no
Yeah.
matter how much or how little sex you were choosing? Because it's got to be a choice. People choose sex so often to make themselves right. Like, oh,
Yeah.
this person desires me, they find me fuckable, thereby I have some currency.
Yeah.
What? Where's the joy in that?
I love that. I used to actually keep like a diary. What it started when I was probably a teenager, and it would be like the name. It'd be apparently it's my body count, you know. But it started with like kissing, making out, like all the things that
Wait,
I
wait. What's the difference between kissing and making out?
I don't know, but I even had like symbols because if somebody read it, I didn't want them to know exactly, what I had done. I kept it going through college, and then at a certain I think it was probably like 20 something, I just was like, fuck it, like this is getting too long and I don't want anyone to ever find out, basically.
Oh my God. I love that. That's so good.
Yeah, I had a whole system like, okay, I just want to remember, I have no idea. Crazy girl stuff. But I love that you were saying like there's so many different, avenues of what works for you and what like you asking me that the other day, I was like, wow, I have like gone into some weird slump of like I'm in my 40s, therefore I can't be as slutty as I used to be in my 20s, like there's so many things at play that this energy that you're talking about with whether it's copulation, which is the body parts, or if it's just like allowing you to be as lusted after, lustful of others, of everything, like I've really been looking at like where have I been like shutting that off based on I'm a mom, like whatever, all the things.
Mm.
So I
Yeah,
love
and
you
my
have a
question
different perspective, which is
totally. Yeah, and my question to you of, "Are you having enough sex lately?" wasn't like, "You need to go and have sex, and this is
no,
disorders." It's more like, "Hey, what if you relaxed and allowed yourself to receive?"
yes. And most people, if they were to ask that question, it would have judgment with it. You had zero. It wasn't like there was a right answer. It was just like, oh, okay. All
Because
right.
some people have sex on their agenda as a item on the to-do list. I knew I knew a couple that they would have sex every Tuesday night because Wednesday they washed the sheets.
Oh, yeah. And the scheduling and it just takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, well, a lot of couples, because it's really common for couples to stop having sex, right? After they've been together for a while, they're not that keen. So there's a lot of doctors out there and psychologists who are prescribing methods to get you out of that slump, right? And it's like, schedule sex, make time for sex. And to me, if you told me I had to do something, I'd be like, fuck you, I don't want to. It's like telling somebody they have to eat 3 square meals a day and they have to exercise 5 times a day and they have to drink 2 liters of water a day. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
But I just want people to have a good time, whatever that looks like for them and their bodies.
For them and their bodies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the other really interesting fun fact about you and your classes is that you've been traveling the world. So it's not just like, in Australia or in whatever, but you're traveling through all these different like cultures where there's so much. I just wondered if you'd like, what are some of the things that are there things that are similar throughout all cultures? Are there things that like what are you finding in I feel like you're this pioneer of a topic that's been
Yeah. You know how, and this isn't to blow my own horn, but it's just kind of something I've observed that's interesting. Do you remember Dr. Ruth?
yes. Yeah.
Dr. Ruth Westheimer, for those out there who never heard of her, she died only a year or two ago. And I've actually been like speaking with her entity every now and then. I just go, "Hey, Dr. Ruth, give me a bit of your juice." Um, she was really cool in that she was one of the very first speaking really frankly about sex. And because she was this little old German woman, people were like, okay, they would receive it from her.
Yes.
And the label that a lot of people would place on me is that I am a gay man, quote unquote. And
Right.
as a result, people will receive this from me differently than a straight woman or a straight man or whoever else, right? So
Yeah.
I kind of have, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I can kind of get in the back door. And I've been to Japan, India, the Middle East, all kinds of places, Italy. And the commonality I'm finding is most people have an origin story with sex that is where things sort of started. Like it is a universal, seemingly, that we were playing with our bodies or exploring sex with like a cousin or somebody close to us when we were a really little kid, and we were discovered and told it was wrong, and that's when like this thing of shame got attached to sex.
Mm.
Or, and this is one of the more challenging, I will say, parts of facilitating these classes is there's a really vast number of people who their initial exposure to sex was actually non-consensual.
Wow.
And so dealing with that and getting people to look at the choices around that and letting go of the victimization of it and looking at what it did create rather than destroy has been really empowering. And that goes beyond any culture. Every culture is that. I just did this class in Italy, in Rome. Across the street we could see through the window the major Roman Catholic church with processions of nuns coming because in that church was lying in state the body of the dead Pope Francis. He just
Wow.
died, and his body's still there on display. So I'm there talking about sex and having no shame and no fear and no guilt. And we're looking out the window at all these nuns and priests and things going. So that was interesting.
Oh my God.
Uh, but other than that, culturally, it's never what you think it is. You
Yeah.
know, like the Latin countries, we associate them with being really romantic and really great lovers, etc. But some of them have the most points of view about sex. And the more quote unquote repressed countries, like in the Middle East and the Muslim countries, I have found them to be incredibly forthcoming and willing to be vulnerable in ways that would shock many. Like listening to women from Qatar saying, "So I was giving a guy roadhead the other day and I accidentally pooped and it made a mess in the car upholstery and I'm feeling embarrassed." And I was like, okay.
No. Oh my God. You have the best job on the planet. I'm just saying, like, that's just,
Honestly, it's pretty great.
yeah.
Just talk about dicks a lot.
Yeah, dicks and things. That's what, whenever I ask Chris what's he up to, he's like, just talking to people about dicks and things and sex and things.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, what's your set? So you have you have a telecall coming up with Gary, and it's cool to, I did not know that about, that was one of your first classes, The Truth About Sex, which if you haven't, you know, I actually haven't listened to that class, so I should go listen to it.
It's on Access Me.
It's on Access Me. Go to access.me and you can get it. Um, but that's really awesome that it's kind of like coming together, if you will. Um,
Aw.
yeah. For So in August, which we're almost to August, I thought we were in August yesterday, so who knows? You're going to do one call a week for a month, 5 calls with Gary, and the title is just sex question mark. And
No, that's not the whole title.
no,
The
and then
question
under
sex? Yes,
yes,
please.
yes, underneath it. And we were chatting, we had another like chat, and you said something else that was brilliant, and you're like, what if yes please is all that all it takes? Because I think the other thing is some people kind of get into like, that is hard, I'm gonna have to do a lot of work, I'm gonna have to date people, like, you have an ease with the topic. So I'd love to know, like, number one, you've got the topic of sex. What do you have a sense that you guys will be exploring beyond, like, there's the copulation part and then there's the sexualness, like, do you have
Yeah.
anything that you're looking forward to or where you'd like to go?
Well, one of the things that in the conversations I've had with Gary about this is he's been talking for many years about what it would be like to have our own reality. And that is kind of a really exciting place for me to play. And he talks about having your own reality and having a generative body that can live longer than we expect. And he said to me recently that in order to get there, one of the requirements is having your own sexual reality.
Wow.
But most people hear that and they go, "Oh, your sexual reality." So those are like how promiscuous you are, or who you have sex with, who you don't have sex with, like what's your sexuality. And it actually isn't. There is a possibility for an undefined sexual reality where sex is always a state of question and not a, like almost like a filtering system of who we will receive and who will reject.
Yeah.
Because sex as an energy, as like you said, there's the copulation aspect of it. Copulation is when you put the body parts together. That's part of sex. But sex is an energy that is present in every part of our life. Like for me, when I eat, it's a sexual experience. Like because I enjoy the food that I eat so much and the nurturance of it that every mouthful is sexual. How I choose to get dressed in the morning is sexual, because it's all about receiving from the clothes and how they feel on my body and what they gift to me and how I move through the day and the sensuality of it. So I would really love for people to give themselves permission to find out what's true for them and really start hedonistically enjoying their lives.
That's wonderful. I'll have that. Yes, please. Thank you. More and more and more of it. That's the other thing. It's like you can keep exploring and asking for more.
Yay. I'm here for it.
Yeah, me too. Well, you have a class currently going on, I think, but I love the title. It's called Just the Tip. So this is just the tip. And if you want to have more, you'll have to come check him out somewhere, either in his classes. What's your website? Is it Christopher Hughes or chrishughes.com?
It's MrChristopherHughes.com.
MrChristopherHughes.com. So we'll put a link below. Go check him out. And Gary and Chris will be on August 4th.
Boom.
Starting every Monday, depending on where you are in the world in August, you can have as much sex as you would like.
Ta-da!
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming with me.
It's been wonderful. Ta-ta for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.